to Straight Outta Jersey. Today's podcast is brought to you by Ace Sunglasses. Go to acesunglasses.com.au to purchase some of the best shades around. Use promo code MRG30 and receive 30% off selected brands.
All right, guys, it's Wednesday, movie talk time, and we are 10 days away from Superman. All three of us will be there for the debut and premiere, and we're going to talk about that. We got a great show. We're going to talk about the Running Man trailer. We also had Michael Bay returning and some Mandalorian news. Let's talk about the team right here. I got the screenwriter, Rob Alvarenga. How you doing, Rob?
What's going on, Joe? Super excited for this week, man.
And, of course, Dave, DC Callari. What's up, Dave?
Looking forward to the quizzes and the mailbag.
You've been knocking them out of the park every single time.
Somebody's got to.
Yeah, I know. Well, the first thing we want to talk about, actually, in 1987, there was a Arnold movie named Running Man. I think I was 14 years old when that came out, and it was okay for a 14-year-old, watching it and everything. And now a new trailer came out, Running Man by Edgar Wright. And actually, I watched it, and I thought it was actually really good. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing it now. And I wasn't even thinking it was anything good, but then I saw it, and I was like, wow, this thing is really, really good. Rob, did you watch that trailer, and can you tell me what you thought about it?
I did. First of all, I'm a big Edgar Wright fan, and so I thought it was interesting that he's taking up the Running Man. So a couple just little tidbits. Fun fact, the Running Man is actually based on a story written by Stephen King, which is one of my personal favorite authors. And everything that I've seen, everything I've read about it, the reason why it's excited is because it's going to be a little more faithful to the source material. So don't get me wrong, I actually really love it's a guilty pleasure movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger's version. But this one here, I'm very interested in seeing it. I mean, what's this guy's name? Glenn Powell. Yeah, Twisters. I think he was in. He's fine. He looks like he's I don't know. The only reference I got from the guys from Twisters, and he seems like he has enough personality. I'm curious to see if he could really bring me something different into the story. But I agree. I think the trailer was fun. Some really surprises. I'm excited that Coleman Domingo's in this thing, and I mean, he looks like he's going to be have his own version of the Richard Dawson character from the other movie. And I don't know if either of you guys noticed. Did you notice Michael Cera is in this thing?
Was he in it? I didn't notice that. I know Josh
Yes.
Brolin is in it.
Josh Brolin's in it, but Michael Cera, I think, is the guy with the water gun that electrocutes those people.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't notice that. I got to check that out next time.
Yeah, I looked down like that's Michael Cera. So
wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be fun. Edgar Wright knows how to put together a solid movie. So yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think Glenn Powell has the chops to be that next action level star. I think he, did pretty well with Twister, and then this one, I think he can take him off. Dave, what did you think of that trailer?
So it's got three things going for it already: Edgar Wright, Glenn Powell, and Josh Brolin. Like you almost forget that Josh Brolin's in this because we're talking about Glenn Powell. And don't forget, he had a really good turn in Maverick also.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, sir.
So, and apparently Tom Cruise has been quoted as saying, if anyone's going to continue Mission Impossible, he wants it to be Glenn Powell. So
wow,
take that for what it is.
Okay.
The movie looks pretty good. I didn't know that it was originally a short story or just a story from Stephen King, so that was interesting. So if it's closer to what the source material is, it's intriguing. I think off the bat, a lot of people will be put off because they're going to be very used to Arnold's Running Man.
Correct.
Which was like a Blade Runner Mad Max mashup, right? So it's obviously, is it a good movie? I don't know. It's been around for so long, and it's turned into a cult classic at this point,
Exactly.
like a lot of Arnold's older stuff. So I think as long as people can get away from comparing the two,
Mm-hmm.
this probably has a chance to really stand on its own.
Yep.
I mean, look, I know it's actually based on more on the source material, so you can't really call it anything but The Running Man, but
Mm-hmm.
it almost would make sense if you called it something other than The Running Man, just to eliminate the comparisons.
Yeah. And Edgar Wright did Baby Driver, which was really, I like that movie.
That was
Yes,
excellent.
sir. Yes, sir.
Great movie. I really enjoyed that one. So I think it's going to hit on all cylinders. I think it's going to be really good, The Running Man. So, we'll wait and see what happens. The next thing is, and I saw this and I kind of was like, what the hell is this doing? Is that, so Social Network came out, obviously a story about Mark, Zuckerberg came out, and they are going to do a sequel to this. And that was the first time I heard, remember Andrew Garfield did really well in that movie. They're going to do a sequel to this. And my thoughts were like, what are they going to really talk about? Maybe the break with all the stuff, the data leak or whatever. But they are doing a sequel. I'm not really interested. I don't know why. Are they running out of ideas? I don't know. Dave, what did you do about Social Network 2? Do you think we need this?
Do we need it? Do we need anything?
No.
So it's interesting because what they're looking at doing is examining Facebook's role in January 6th and all the ups and downs we've had over the last decade of like online bullying. Like it's a really big and nuanced topic to tackle. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, do we really need Hollywood to tell us this story? But at the same time, I'm sure that Rob can attest to this. Sometimes just having the story told by an artist who just wants to put their perspective out there without a preconceived bias or agenda, which I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but you'd like to think that he's approaching this script from a very like, hey, this is just almost like a comedian, right? Like a comedian gets up on stage and just gives their perspective, maybe both sides, so people can kind of look at it and be like, yeah, we're idiots that we made a big deal out of this. The subject matter they're looking to tackle is obviously going to trigger a lot of people on both sides. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what it does. Do we need it? I'm like split down the middle. We don't need it, but if you can do it right, just having someone as a voice of just like, this is what this is for us as a culture, as a society. Who knows? It could be a big swing, and he does okay.
All right, Rob, what do you think about Social Network 2?
So I'm glad Dave went first because he kind of, it's a great segue to the points I was going to bring up. To answer the question, do we need it? The answer for me is maybe. Because I'm trying to think. The first one came out in what, 2010, I think, right?
2010.
Yeah. So that movie, when you heard it was like the Facebook movie, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to gauge it. I remember it was coming out, and I'm just like, do I really want to know this guy? I mean, yeah, Facebook's a big thing, but now you got to tell me the story of Facebook. Okay. When I actually see that movie actually blows me away. Not so much like, what, the life of Mark and, what he did to become who he was or whatever and stuff. But it was just like the way it was written and directed. It just really nailed everything for me as far as like a great movie. Just looking at it just from a movie perspective, that movie's incredible. Now, fast forward to part 2. Reason why I'm interested is because, 2010 till now, just think about what Facebook has been involved with or has been responsible for, if you want to look at it that way. But, whether you argue for it or not, it's one of, if not the most influential online presence ever. It's sprouted out with all the other apps pretty much, but it pretty much began and ended with Facebook for a long time. So it has a powerful influence. And I think the things that it has been involved with, since there is a story definitely to be told. Now, this is where I have a problem. The first movie was written by Aaron Sorkin, directed by David Fincher. David Fincher was, for me, thinking back, needed to be the director because Aaron Sorkin, to Dave's point, He's the guy writing it. He has the perspective. He wants to lend his voice to an opinion, really, to this story. Okay, and for me to tell this kind of story that can be very polarizing, you need somebody that's directing it, that's going to kind of like, listen, we need to keep this in the pocket. I get what you want to say. We could say it this way, but make sure that we're presenting a way where it's enjoyable and you're not pissing off like half the people that may be interested in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm understanding is that David Fincher, to my knowledge, is not directing this. Aaron Sorkin, the writer, is also directing this. So that is the part that's a little concerning to me, because I mean, I've read some of his scripts, and his dialogue can be really heavy-handed. Like, okay, buddy, I get it. You know, let's get to like the meat and potatoes about this story. So for him to be at the helm of this, and it's not like he hasn't directed movies before. I think he directed The Trial of the Chicago 7, and a couple other movies that were like very well regarded. But this is this topic, to Dave's point, it's really, really polarizing. So I just hope that he has an objective approach to it versus like slamming everybody over the head with a sledgehammer over what he wants to tell us about this story.
Mm-hmm. I know this movie, though, Andrew Garfield, he did that role really well. I mean, I think he was nominated for an Oscar for that. I mean, that's how I knew him for Spider-Man.
I was shocked this thing was nominated for like 8 Academy Awards. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was really well, received. So
I liked it, and it's funny to think about it now, because I remember watching it, I thought it was great, but to think that it came out so shortly after Facebook was a thing, like a real thing.
True.
But also before Instagram, and Instagram was like 2011 or 12. It was like very shortly after that.
Yep, you're right. Well, we'll see what happens. See what happens when it releases. So we'll see what's going on. The next thing we want to talk about is, well, we got Transformers. Michael Bay. Michael Bay is obviously a great director and everything. He's done Transformers 1 through 5, and now he's coming back officially for another one. He's doing another one. I mean, didn't we tell enough through the Transformers already? The first 2 were okay, but then after a while, Bumblebee was all right, but I don't think we really need this. I think Michael Bay's running out of stuff. The Transformers makes the most money for him, I guess. I can't even tell when they transform now. It's just all mishmash on the screen. I don't know. He's coming back. I mean, didn't we say enough in the first 5? Dave, are you looking forward to Transformers 6 now that Michael Bay's coming back?
He saved the best one for number 6.
Yeah.
So I remember watching the first Transformers in the theater. I legit went 10 times to see it in the movie theater. 10 times. Wow. I had all the action figures and everything. My childhood came to life in that scene about 25, 30 minutes in, where they all show up in the alley and they all transform. I was like, oh my God, it's happening.
Mm-hmm. Good soundtrack too coming up.
And then it all just kind of shit the bed after that. Like, I saw them all, and we had, Cade Yeager, Mark Wahlberg.
Oh God.
Like, that's the worst name ever. Michael Bay. Sometimes I feel you could swap Michael Bay and Zack Snyder, and you just be like, ugh, it's kind of the same stuff.
Yeah.
They both have their moments. They both have their styles. Michael Bay's style is visually appealing. Like, he knows how to shine something up. Now, the problem here is that people stopped caring about Transformers, and then they got good. Bumblebee was good. Bumblebee was very good. Bumblebee's probably the best Transformers movie. Yeah,
you're probably right.
And then Transformers 1 was way better than it needed to be. I thought Transformers 1 was excellent. And now I think Hasbro has said they will no longer be co-financing any of the Transformers properties. And I think that's mostly because, even though they tend to do well, it's kind of been just like diminishing returns. And I don't know if there's been enough juice with the ones that are good to get people to start caring again, because there's so much of the other stuff that's mediocre at best. So do we need another one? Could it be good? Anything could be good. Anything could be good. We would love everything to be good.
Yeah, of course. Rob, what do you think about Transformers? Michael Bay returning for another one, number 6.
I'm not excited, like, at all. Um, look, I shared Dave's like nostalgia with the first movie because I was right there the first time. I mean, I'll tell you the scene, and we didn't even get to the heroes transforming, but like whatever, it was like 12 minutes into the movie, and that helicopter transforms, and you hear the transforming noise, you know, like whoa, whoa! It's like you got the hair sticking out of the back of your neck. You're like, this is awesome. It starts transforming, and it transforms into something that you can't really recognize, but you knew something transformed. But that was, and not because it was the first time we actually got to see this in live action ever. And for any Transformers fans, that movie was like the ultimate because we got to see it. Like Dave said, our childhood just came to life in that movie. But then they just kept going at it and going at it. And Michael Bay, the thing that infuriates me about him is that for me, I don't feel like he cares about the story, about the script, about actually any type of like just story construction that actually is what really will actually make the movie. I mean, special effects is awesome. You know, I'm not gonna lie. You know, those things when they first started transforming, awesome. I was there. I was going back to the theater just to see them transform. And that was it. But then, you know, now you're trying to like, you know, do a whole franchise of it. And after a while, you're like, okay, they're cool when they transform, but what else are we doing here? You know, the humans, you know, they piss you off because they don't act like like normal people. Like it's just started losing a lot for me. And I was so happy when he walked. Well, I thought he finally walked away from the franchise because Bumblebee was great for me. Yeah, Transformers 1. Yeah, that was like, whoa, for a cartoon. That movie was awesome. It got super intense, super quick. And even with Rise of the Beast, Transformers, the one with the actual like, you know,
Yeah, Rise of the Beast.
Rise of the Beast. Okay, I did say it right. Okay, good.
That was okay.
Yeah, but you know what? The reason why I enjoyed it, and this is like the point that I'm coming to, that the ones that really got good were the ones that actually began really going back to the source material. The reason why we became fans was like this just whole dynamic of these warring factions or robots, you know, that could transform. It was so much depth to that thing, and it just got big time jumbled up with Michael Bay's version. So you know, now that he's coming back. And it sounds like Hasbro. I mean, if they're not co-financing, that means they're like, look, here, just do it, do whatever you want. I'm afraid for what he's going to do. So, look, I fear that he's going to give us some other crap Transformers thing that he just, you know, poops out of his butt and, you know, slaps his name on it, lots of explosions, make money. And I'm just not down for that.
Yeah. Me either, but we'll see. We'll wait and see. It's going to be out in the movie theaters eventually, and I think another 2 years or something.
I mean, look at the difference. We got Jurassic Park 7 coming out this weekend, and people are. I have my tickets. I'm going to go see it. People are genuinely interested in seeing this movie, and now people talk about Transformers 6, and they're like, well, "Get out of here! What are we doing?"
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The next big thing, actually, you know, is I'm a big Star Wars fan. You guys don't know that. My oldest son is named Lucas for a reason.
There you go.
You know, George Lucas, or I like to call him Luke. You know, Luke, I'm your father. But you know, man,
I mean, I thought that was a given. Like, come on.
You know, that's all I do. Run around.
That's awesome, man.
So, you know, Mandalorian and Grogu, they're coming out in the movie theater. It's coming out in the movie theater next year. And now there's reports saying that if it does well enough, that they are going to make it a trilogy, which I kind of was thinking to myself, I'm like, if it does well anyway, aren't they going to just continue making it? You know, if it does makes money, they're going to make another one. You know, it's been 6 years since the last Star Wars movie, Rise, you know, Skywalker or whatever, and I hated it because those movies killed all of my heroes. You know, they killed Luke, killed this one, killed everyone. I mean, it was horrible. I hated it. But you know, Dave, what do you think about Mandalorian? Did you like the series? Are you looking forward to the movie? What do you think?
Mandalorian season 1 was excellent. Season 2 was okay. Season 3,
yeah.
And the best episodes of Book of Boba Fett were when the Mandalorian was in it.
Yep.
But yeah, to your point, like if it does well, just make another one. Because that means, what's the story for what they want to tell right now? If they just are they gonna, is it self-contained and they're just gonna like make it like the second movie that's just like another episode, or do we have something that's worthy of being a trilogy? Like I hate it being contingent upon how well it does, because then it's like, do you really believe in the story that you're telling in the first place? Because the Mandalorian is a popular character. Like, if you were going to pick anything out of the last decade of characters to do, like, he's right up there.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like they want us to be excited, but yet I don't know a single Star Wars fan who's excited about anything that they're currently putting out.
No, I mean, they killed it with the last series with Rey and stuff, and they killed
I
all the
didn't
heroes.
even see the Rise of Skywalker. I thought The Force Awakens was good. What was after that?
The Last Jedi. No, not that. The Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
I thought it was okay. By the time Rise of Skywalker came out, I was like, I don't even care what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Rob, what do you think? Mandalorian and Grogu.
I mean, they got to do this because Disney's they gotta find ways to consistently make money, and they're gonna juice this franchise for all it's worth. So it could be good, it maybe not, but the good thing that it's got going for it is that everybody loves this character, everybody loves these two characters. They do a lot of heavy lifting in anything they're in, and so that's a win. That's going to get people in the theaters alone. Now, depending on what the story they're going to go with, that's what's going to determine how far. I mean, it sounds to me like they're already going to do this. They're going to do a trilogy no matter what. And the best thing they could do for themselves is that, yes, make it a self-contained story. Let go of the Skywalker saga. Stop doing tie-ins. Just do your own thing. Okay, because that's really what everybody really is looking for in Star Wars. If you're going to explore everything in this galaxy far, far away, then really explore things that have nothing to do with like the main continuity. You don't even have to mention like characters that we know. Don't just stay in your lane, stay in your pocket, and give us something that try and give us something that we haven't seen before. There should be plenty of stuff. Enough imagination there to work with this material to give us something worth having a trilogy for, and we're gonna see if they have the makings of it with the first movie.
Yeah, I heard the Mandalorian was going in a different direction originally from the first TV series, but Grogu got so popular that they decided to just keep him writing him in because it was just about him, and they kept going it because supposedly by season 3 he was supposed to be gone, or halfway through season 2. But
it's interesting because he's so popular, but you almost want you guys better do something with this character because he can only be so cute and fumble around for so long for okay, give us something. But if you change him, does he lose his appeal?
Yeah. That's true. You're right. I don't know. We'll see.
Like if you said I'm Mandalorian, like do you like?
Oh God, that'll be the death now.
Yeah, he's got to start getting his voice and start talking like Yoda or something, or see something. I don't know.
Or a deep voice.
We'll wait and see, but I'll be there to watch it anyway. But we'll see what happens. All right, guys, we got a bunch of mailbag questions that came in, so I'm going to go to these mailbag questions that came in. And here we go. And there were a couple funny ones, and I was just like, okay. But some of them I couldn't even put on, but but this one says Scotty from Hasburg, PA. He said, "Hey team, did you guys see Vin Diesel announce Fast 11? Brian O'Connor will be back. Mr. Dave, you may need to train Vinny. He is 60 pounds overweight for the Fat and the Furious."
That's great.
I did see that. And I think Dave will have to be training Vinny because they'll be racing to where In-N-Out Burger. That's going to be the main.
It's great.
Racing the In-N-Out Burger.
Double chin Diesel.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Vin, what are we doing?
But I wanted to ask you guys this: do you see the series? Not just movies in general, going the AI route where they just bring back these characters with AI? Like you can see maybe Grand Moff Tarkin or whoever coming in, they just make AI because the AI is getting so good these days. Do you see the movies being like, we can make a movie that from people who died in the 20s, and then we can just put them on screen now? You think that? What about you, Dave? You think that?
You can do it. It's not good. It's not good. So being a musician, I've seen plenty of big time channels talk about AI in music, and I've heard AI songs. Like for a second, you're like, yeah, and then the vocals come in and the voice is weird. It's like, it's almost, if you could even be too perfect on the auto tune, like you can tell. And there's something to be said about dialogue that feels cold and emotionless. I'm not really, just because you have a familiar face doesn't mean the performance is going to be worth a damn. So I don't really, I'm not interested in AI anything, and being a creative myself, like that's the last thing I think serves any kind of purpose. As the main storytelling tool, there are tools that can help you get stuff done.
Yeah.
But I think it just needs to be an assist. I don't think it should be the main driver of anything.
Rob, what about you? You think AI is going to be taking over the future of movies?
No, I don't.
Okay.
They're gonna try, but the thing is that what the proponents of this technology fail to understand is that they think that something visually captivating without a story to tell is worth putting up on screen. There's a reason why writers just they get crapped on a lot because they think, oh, you're just making up stuff out of your butt. Anyone could do that. Yeah, okay. You try putting together a 3-act storyline, a script, which you start from outline to treatment, all the way up. You're investing 3 months of your life to actually get this thing right, minimum. That's not including rewrites, whatever, just so the whole thing could even make sense. It's a true art form that's what the engine of these movies are, because the movies that you remember, yeah, you'll remember with some that have like these visuals are like, whoa, that's just mind blowing. But the ones that stay with you forever are the ones that had a real story behind it. So AI, you gotta remember, AI, for as powerful as it is, it's still copying us. That's really what it is doing. It's just doing it at a quicker pace where it's just like it looks like it's doing it on its own, but no, it's copying what's already out there. And you put together AI story, okay, great. It better be more than just somebody running around and things exploding, because after a while you're like, okay, that's cool. Move on to the next video.
Yeah.
Take your 10 most popular directors, whoever they are, Scorsese, Coppola, whatever.
Spielberg. Okay.
Everything that they've done, Spielberg included here, like nothing that they've done was super propelled by the visuals. Like, yeah, maybe you could make the case for like Jurassic Park, but there was still a lot of storytelling there. Otherwise, we would just have guys like Zack Snyder and Michael Bay who would be ruling the industry if all we needed was something glitzy on the screen.
Yeah.
Like storytelling and performance and nuance in it really still matters to the intelligent movie-going public. There are some people who just want to be entertained mindlessly, and that's fine. That's why some of these things exist. But for the most part, the industry wouldn't be what it was. And if it wants to succeed, it needs to stay with people being the driving creative forces.
Right. And I'll say one thing. It's like, the one thing I will push back is about intelligent moviegoers. Honestly, even if you consider just like someone that just wants to just turn off their mind and just be entertained. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You have those people like that, but even ask them, what's your favorite movie? Guarantee it's going to be something that had depth to it.
Yep. All right, Dave, do you want to give Vinny your meal nutrition plan any chance? I mean,
no, because then he's going to make another stupid Fat and Furious movie. I can't stand these things. I hope the insurance doesn't cover him and he can't make it.
Yeah. All right. Our next question here, Greg S. from Millburn, New Jersey. I didn't like the Ironheart series, but the Mephisto surprise was not bad. Did you guys see that Mephisto came in at the end of?
Yeah, I did.
Ruined it for me. I like Mephisto because of his tie-ins with Ghost Rider. So if you're trying to shoehorn in Mephisto, fine, great, it did it. Now I kept trying to get through Ironheart, and I didn't, but not because it wasn't any good. I just kept putting it on during whatever. But I was surprised. I thought it was going to be 3 episodes and then 1 a week for 3 weeks. They dropped all 3 again last time.
They did.
They are literally just trying to push this out. And it's not even terrible. It's not even
No,
terrible.
it's not. I was going to say that it was okay, but the last episode was really good, and I was like, oh, okay, this kind of really hit the mark at the end.
Yeah, so I'll probably end up watching it. Listen, if that's what we needed to get Mephisto in the universe, okay, cool. I don't know how, like, because we have fairly rooted in like the real world with Riri, and then Mephisto way out on the other side in the spiritual. So I'll see what they
and
do.
who played him? You know who played him, right? I don't know if you know who played him.
I don't.
Yeah, I do. I saw him.
Was it Tom Cruise like Tropic
No, but
Thunder?
who played him did an excellent job, and I heard he was going to play him like 2 years ago. And then
Whoever I don't remember who it was, but all right, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's worth a surprise for you, man. Yeah,
it's worth a surprise. I know, Rob. You want to comment on it? Do you, Ironheart? What do you think?
I think it took a while to get there, but yeah, I think it ended strong, and everybody has been waiting for Mephisto for a long time, and I think that's really what put the whole finale like towards the end over the top, because now you're opening up possibilities for like say Midnight Suns. That's a show that I'm very curious to see about, because now you're talking about a different turn, total supernatural left turn, which I don't think Marvel has done enough of to explore. So and overall, you know what, for what it is, and I'm still not a big fan of the character with as she's presented in MCU, but it was good. I got to give them props. It was good.
I had some problems with it, and Dave, I don't want to ruin it for you, but I mean, the way she builds things is a little bit. I mean, I couldn't even go through directions that quick. I mean, you'll see when you watched it, you'll be like, "What? How did she do this?" You'll see. You'll see. I'll tell you. We'll talk about it next time. Steve W. PA. He says, "Hey, movie guys, who would you consider as the worst MCU villain? My vote: Whiplash or Ronin." Ooh. Worst MCU villain. I don't know, that guy from Dark World, Mahalik.
Oh, Malekith. Yeah.
He might have been pretty bad, I think. What do you guys think? Anyone you guys can think of?
Yeah.
I can't give Malekith only because even though he didn't really have a direct like downstream effect, Thor: The Dark World really showed up a lot way down the line. So I got to give that movie a little bit of credit. Whiplash had potential. It's a shame. Like, I don't know. Actually, I think Ronin probably beats out Whiplash.
Okay.
Like, the Whiplash character was interesting because of his father's ties to Stark. So even though they didn't really do anything with that story beat, like, it was still somewhat compelling, and I feel he had more of a reason to be doing what he was doing. Ronin just threw a temper tantrum the whole movie, which is a shame because Guardians is a great movie.
Yeah, it is. Great movie. Rob, you have a villain you hate, or anyone that
Who? Yeah, Gore, the God Butcher from Love and Thunder.
They get gored pretty bad.
Such a disappointment, and it sucks. It sounds cliche-ish, but if you ever read the comic book version of this character, it's like it's night and day. That character should have been scary, like beyond scary, and it's such a disappointment. I mean, I love Christian Bale. He did what he could, but that's more of like, it's just a straight disappointment. I don't know if it's Taika that did that, Taika Waititi, the director, or whoever he was working with writing this, but they clearly didn't understand the character, and what I saw on screen pales in comparison to what I read, and it's sad. It's a travesty.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Dennis K., Newark, New Jersey. Who was your favorite actor to play Batman and Superman? That's tough. I mean, I've always liked Keaton, man, because I grew up in '89 where like people were doing everything with Keaton when I came out, and grew up in the '80s seeing Keaton. But I mean, Adam West also was it was a little bit campy, but I loved Adam West, But I'm gonna go Keaton, and then for Superman, that's tough. I love Cavill, but I think Reeve is someone who, just because I grew up on Reeve, so he was always my OG Superman. What about you guys? Dave,
I got Affleck for Batman.
Okay.
Reeve followed very closely by Tyler Hoechlin.
Oh, that's a good one too. We have to really.
Okay.
That's real
Because
good.
I think that show, it was funny. I was listening to something today where they were talking about how Superman and Lois was almost like a continuation of Lois and Clark from the early 90s. Like it took them past where they might have taken that show in the last season where like Lois and Clark get married, maybe they have a family. And I thought he did a great job balancing Superman and Clark. And like him as Clark was like the most interesting part of that series. Without him in the suit was like one of the most interesting parts of that show. And I think he took it in a place we haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
And I was with him the whole way.
Rob, you have someone Batman or Superman actor you like?
For Batman, Michael Keaton. I'm sorry, I tried to I like Christian Bale a lot. I like what he did with the character a lot, but it's not like the original. It's nothing like the first love. I'm sorry, just it is what it is. And Superman, it's like chalk. But yeah, Christopher Reeves. I mean, when I grew up, that was Superman.
Yeah.
Any other movie I saw him, that was Superman.
Yep, Superman without the wheelchair. But that was.
I mean, even when people are still moaning and groaning about Corn Sweat wearing the trunks, right? You can still put up a picture of Corn Sweat now, which I think the suit still looks great, and Reeve from 78.
Yeah, 78.
He wins hands down.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw James Gunn they had a thing he was trying to figure out whether he should wear the trunks or not. And he went back with Snyder a couple of times with Zack Snyder. It was a pretty good interview. I saw how he went back and forth trying to figure out should he wear tights or not. But he decided he asked Cornswell and he said, yeah, well, I'm going to do it. Let's go tights. It's all right. Next question. John D. Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. Screenwriter Rob, would you consider Spielberg as the GOAT of directors? And who is your favorite writer?
Oof, man. Good question. Yeah, I mean it's really tough to say anyone else is that I could think of. Spielberg, I mean, I think just going back to what we discussed, like celebrities we would like to have just lunches with, just to talk. I mean, it's just amazing to me that it's not with Steven Spielberg. The thing is that it was never formulaic with him. Everything was just genuinely in the story and bringing out that not the movie magic within that story. I mean, no one's done it better. I'm sorry. It's just you could tell me, any other directors, any other directors really would be just kind of your preference, really. So I think Tim Burton is actually a very gifted director. I just mentioned about Edgar Wright. But no, I mean Spielberg. There's a reason why in some circles, as far as the film industry, even film schools, he's a chosen one. And he's earned that, to be honest. So I think the only movie you can have a gripe with him really is artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And honestly, if that movie doesn't rip your heart out, I mean, you're dead inside. And that's part of the reason why it didn't do so well, because it was such a just a sad story. But the effectiveness of the story, you can't take that away. So no, Steven Spielberg in my eyes is the GOAT. Favorite writers, man. I mean, honestly, this the one that I like because he does both, because he's done it. Guillermo del Toro. I'm a big fan of Guillermo because this guy is when he sees things at such a different angle, and he's a child. He's a child at play when it comes to this stuff. And you could tell in his stories too. And just a real quick story that I read recently was in his movie The Shape of Water, right? So that's a passion project for him because he was a big fan of the monster from the Black Lagoon, and he hated how that movie ended. And he was like, when I grow up, I'm gonna make that movie, but I'm gonna make it with the ending I want.
Okay.
I mean, come on, that kind of passion, and it shows in all of his work, and that's the reason why I'm a big fan of him. So I'm gonna say I'm sure there are others right now that could, but he's the first one that pops up to mind. I really love his work.
Dave, you have anyone you want to jump in?
I'm going to go. I'll also agree with Rob on Spielberg, because if you look at his body of work, whether it's like Jaws, E.T., he's had the fantastical, Saving Private Ryan. Like, he's had so many different films in like different genres, and they've all done very, very well. He doesn't really have a clunker in the bunch. And then plus whatever he's been a part of as a producer or whatever. Cameron you could look at maybe second, but I don't think he's been as prolific as Spielberg. And while his movies have been good, I feel like they're kind of judged on the box office more than like the quality of the movie, if that makes sense. Because that's not saying his movies are bad, because they're not. I just think how they're viewed is a little bit different. I know writers' names. I don't know if I have anyone who's I like, but when it comes down to comic book movies, I usually feel if David Goyer is involved, chances are it's going to be at least halfway decent.
Yep.
I remember he wrote Blade 2, and I was like, whoa. And then every time I saw his name start to pop up a little bit more, I was like, okay, this guy's like legitimately got some good writing chops. So I think he's he's definitely made a name for himself in the industry. So in terms of like our genres, I think if he's involved, it's a pretty safe bet it'll be halfway decent.
Yeah, exactly. And he does a lot of work with Ben Affleck and stuff, I think, too. Yeah. And I think Ben's a pretty good writer from what I see, understand,
Yeah, it's very underrated. I don't think people realize how good he is.
I've seen those Dunkin' Donuts commercials.
There you go. That's your proof.
Yeah, 100%. All right, the next part is we're going to name that movie. Now, this one is going to be a little bit different. It's like, I'm not going to tell you the year of the movie, and I'm going to release them slowly, the pictures. That way it gives it a little bit harder for you guys. A little bit harder.
That's what we need.
It was in the 80s, though. Give you the 80s. Okay, the movie was in the 80s, okay? So the first picture, Terrence Stamp.
Oh, my God.
Terrence Stamp. He played Zod. He was Terrence Stamp. Any idea?
If it's not, he wasn't in anything after Superman 2, right?
He was.
I was going to say.
No, I mean, other Superman movies, I mean.
No, it's not Superman, no, nothing after Superman 2. But Superman 2 was what year? 82? So this movie was after Superman 2.
All right, well, yeah, okay.
Oh, man.
I'll give you this one now. This one, once I get to the third person, you might be able to get it. So Terrence Stamp, Daryl Hannah.
Oh, my God.
Daryl
Hannah. What movies? She hasn't been in that many movies.
Daryl Hannah.
Like, was this a popular movie?
Yes, they did a sequel.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
All right, this is one of the main characters of the movie now. Terrence Stamp, Daryl Hannah, Michael Douglas.
Oh my goodness.
Michael Douglas, Terrence Stamp, Daryl Hannah. Michael Douglas was the big star of it with somebody else.
Oh my goodness.
1987.
87. That would put him with oh crap.
Here's the last and final person. Charlie Sheen.
Oh, Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Terrence Stamp was in Wall Street?
What? Yes, he was.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would not have.
In Wall Street. He was the bad guy that they took money from. I make it a little bit harder because Dave was always kicking him out of the park.
Yeah,
I was trying to think. I was like, what the hell has he been in?
Yeah, Terrence Stamp was in that. I didn't even know he was in that too until I looked it up and I saw it.
And for a second, I wanted to be like Highlander.
Yeah, it is Wall Street.
That's funny. Say that. That's
not the right guy.
Yeah, I'm thinking like that's got to be some of those like off the wall type of movies where it's like I don't know, sword fighting's happening.
If I would have got Sheen first and then Douglas, you probably would have got it. Maybe those two because you might have got it easier. Those two, but I try to make it a little bit harder for you guys. But that was good, not bad. All right, guys. Another great week. Have a good 4th of July, guys.
Yes. Yes.
Have a good
Happy
4th of
4th,
July.
everyone.
Have a 4th. And then we'll see you guys on Wednesday next week.
Yep.
We'll do
Sir.
it again. You got it, guys. I'll talk to you later, man. Have a good week. You got it, brother.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.